Early on in this module, we talked about setting yourself some long-term and career and life goals. So now it's about getting realistic in terms of your short-term goals. So deciding what date that you want to be working by. So typically you want to allow at least 3 months. For any position that you might see advertised tomorrow or want to apply for, chances are that it's going to take at least 2 months to go through a recruitment process and to finally get to the point where you're actually going to be starting work. Maybe slightly shorter than that, but 2 to 3 months is definitely a realistic time frame. Have a look at what kind of things are standing in your way. As we mentioned earlier, there may be particular barriers or skills gaps or whatever that you may want to address. So have a think about those. You may want to change your time frame if you think that there's a particular course that you may need to do or some kind of certification. But the other thing is, don't assume that that certification or course is absolutely a requirement. So sometimes people can actually say, oh well, I can't apply for that until I've done X and Y and Z, and sometimes that can be just, I suppose, a delaying tactic. So until somebody says no, you definitely won't get this position unless you have this accreditation or course, then it's important to know that. So having identified the kinds of things that are in your way, then think about, okay, so what sort of supports do you need, from what people, and how are you going to get them, and what other things might help you. So again, it's worth thinking about, there's a lot of supports out there from different organisations and so on, and what ways can you actually get to avail of those things. And lastly, it's really important to focus on specific tasks to be completed each week, not just blind activity. So for instance, if you are rather than just spending hours and hours and hours trawling the internet, if you say, well, actually I have people to make contact this week, get my CV ready, those 2 different versions of your CV if they're in 2 different organisations. So it's really important to, at least if you have met those 2 people, you will feel that that has contributed a little bit towards progressing towards your plan, rather than just, as I say, general activity that makes you feel busy but it's not necessarily that useful. So ways to stay motivated in your search. Quite often, the 2 biggest enemies of job seeking, and one reinforces the other, is that, as we mentioned earlier, that you can have a lack of confidence, but that can be, I suppose, magnified by the fact that often people feel very isolated, so that they sit at home, they do their job search from home, they don't necessarily get out and meet people. So if you can get out and actually meet new people, go to networking groups, go to job seeker groups, where you will find that you'll have a lot in common with other people, that kind of thing can actually just help your confidence immensely, and even helping other people can be really good for building confidence and self-esteem. It's really important to maintain structure, and as we said, focusing on tasks and specific results. So they may be small wins, but they're all helping you to move forward towards what you want. And from a lifestyle point of view, staying positive through keeping up your hobbies and fitness and nutrition, and as we said, staying in contact with others. So while it might not feel that you're doing anything in particular about your job search, by staying personally, physically and mentally healthy, that will really help you as well. So it's like keeping your batteries recharged. So a specific action plan then for the next week will be thinking about, in the box on the right there, developing your personal mission statement, deciding realistically and writing down when it is that you want to have a job by, writing down any other key goals that you would like to achieve within the next 3 to 6 months, making a list of anything that might be standing in your way, and barriers and skill gaps and so on, and figuring out, okay, what can I do about each of these things, and then perhaps discussing that in groups if that's feasible, or discussing them in the online chat room. So they are specific actions that you can get on with next week, and it's worth thinking about, are there any key learning points for you this week? Are there any other additional things that you actually want to commit to besides the items on the right? And maybe you've thought about things that you may need to stop doing, things that you've been doing that may not have been that productive, things that you might want to start doing, and things that you might want to keep doing because they actually are working to an extent. So that might include your kind of personal fitness and nutrition and all those kinds of things, to not let go of those. So next week the topic will be all about me and what I have to offer. So that's where you'll identify transferable skills and help you work on your achievements, and all of that will start to feed in then to building a really good positive CV that you can start to use to communicate with people. So thank you for participating.